Just Blaze.
Oh baby.
Oh baby.
Hey YouTube, how you doing? Today we're gonna do a really fun tutorial on a chain shoulder top. You guys can grab any old basic shirt you have, long sleeve or short sleeve. It's a pretty easy tutorial. It's good for beginner sewers or people who don't really know how to sew. It's pretty time consuming, but once you guys get the hang of it, things will go pretty smoothly. On another note, I will be answering questions in separate videos, so if you guys have any fashion or personal related questions, you guys can email me. My email is just in the link below, and I would love to hear from you guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you soon. Bye! This is what the finished product looks like with some little beads along the shoulder seam. So the beads are optional, but it would also be cool if your chain was thin enough, you could thread some beads through it and have some beads dangle. Just a tip when buying these, it's better if you buy it the same color, only because I feel like it's tacky if it's different colors, but to each their own. It's up to you. The bead is also optional, the beading along the shoulder. You guys don't have to do it, but it's just an extra touch. Okay, so we can get started. I have 2 chains done already, and I just used the other side kind of as a gauge to how long my longest chain will be, and it ends just about here. You don't have to measure the chains because they don't have to be even. It's supposed to look effortless and just drapey, so people wouldn't really notice if they were exact or not. Okay? So this is how we do it. You roughly measure the chain as to how long it's going to be. So it'll be just around here that I'll cut it. You take your pliers, find the link, and clamp it. Make sure you clamp it enough. And then if you lightly tug it, it should come off. And make sure you take out the broken link, because you don't want to sew that in or else it'll just fall right off. Okay, so along the shoulder seam I have 2 pins. I have 1 pin on the start end of the chain and 1 pin on the end. So we're going to take the pin and we're going to find the second link of the chain, so not the first one, and there's a reason for it, you'll see afterwards, and just thread it through all of the chains. Okay, and when you pin your pin back onto your shoulder seam, do it a little bit underneath and make sure there's that every other seam that you have is lying flat, so that you don't accidentally pin it down and you don't just change the shirt in any way so that it doesn't lie flat anymore, because that might irritate you when you're wearing it. Pin it back, pin it a little bit under the seam so you could do the bead detailing, and if you don't want to do it, that's fine, just do it on the seam so that it'll be invisible. Take the other chain and do it the same on the other side. And you do that for 3 or 4 chains so that it doesn't really get obstructed when you sew. And then we can move on to the next step. So now we're ready to sew, and like I said about the second link, the first link, the reason why we didn't go through it with the pin is because we're going to be using that to actually sew it down to the shirt, and the second link is just there because the pin will hold everything in place. So what you do is you sew through the first link, tie it, any knot, go back to the first link, the first chain, first link of the first chain, you go through it again, and now you're looking for the second chain. And you basically do that until the end. Just sew through a chain and then go back to the cloth. Sew through the chain, secure it to the cloth, and once you're done sewing up to the very end, just take the pin out and look, it holds, but just to be safe, just go over it a second time. So go back and do the same thing, but just in reverse order until you get to the beginning, and then just tie off a knot. And that's basically it for the whole part. You just do it over and over again. Very easy, just time consuming. I'll admit, it took me forever. It's pretty frustrating. It can be frustrating. It can be frustrating, but the end result is just so cool that how could you resist? So I'll be back and I'll show you guys how to do the sleeves. It's basically the same thing, but just to clarify, I'll do it. And then I'll show you guys how to do the optional shoulder part with the beads. So this is basically how we're going to do the sleeves. You pin it to the seam along here, and then behind this shoulder seam you pin it along there. That's basically it, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're finally done the other side, and it's actually a lot faster with more practice, so we can get started on the bead detail. And this one's just the finishing touch. It's very quick, very easy. So grab your beads and we're gonna start. Take one bead, put a needle through it, pull it to the end. Pull it to the end, and then tie a knot. Just another half knot. Yes, yes. You can do that again to secure it. Like so. Okay? So it stays on. Start at the end of the shoulder and just poke it through. And then you can start. Put a maximum of 3 beads through your needle, because if you do a lot, I will show you what happens. If you had more beads and you just loosely secured it, it would start bunching up like this, and you wouldn't want that. You want it to lie straight and along the seam. So what you do is take a little bit of the cloth and thread it through, pull and secure. Lie it flat. Take 3 more and then just get to the end of it and tie it off. We're finally done. We're done. Here's our finished product. There you have it. Good job. Good job, Letitia.